Hey, Internet. It's Paul. It's Matt. The Dork Lords. We are here talking about episode 9 and the finale of Altered Carbon.
That would be 10.
That would be 10. Thanks, I had lost count. And the episodes are entitled Rage in Heaven and The Killers. Bang. All kinds of stuff happens. Yes. Big reveals, big ending. Yes. I'll just say this before we launch into just recapping the whole thing. You know, you've got it's a pretty cool scene. Like for a sci-fi fan, you've got brother and sister.
Yes.
Elite assassins.
Yes.
With katanas.
Yes. Fighting
each other to the death.
Yes.
Aboard a spaceship.
Yes.
That's crashing to Earth.
Yes.
That's pretty cool.
There you go.
Check mark.
Check. You know.
Sci-fi action.
Yes. With females jumping around, kicking people around and everything.
There were lots of kicking people around.
Yep. And doing like somersaults and shit.
Yes. Yeah, there were some good, very good choreographed combat scenes.
Yeah, I feel like, and I haven't looked into this, but I would not be surprised at all if the actor playing, was that her name?
Lizzie?
Lizzie was a dancer.
Okay.
I think that was the case with the younger woman in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, I think.
Oh, yeah?
I think she was a dancer, too, and it's just like, dancing.
Oh, dance, okay.
Or hitting.
Right. Get a little bit closer, and you're hitting the person instead of... in some of those moves definitely felt like a dance, generally speaking. A deadly dance. Yes. A rage in heaven. Okay, so we start off episode 9 with... we got Kovac has returned to the Raven, and he's talking with Poe, and Poe's like, hey, you kind of screwed over Prescott there, because, basically Kovac pretends to solve the crime and just lays everything on Prescott, who then gets basically blackballed, blacklisted by the community. And so Poe is basically going like, well, okay, I see what you did and why you did it, but geez, you just pretty much framed a person. And there's a line he has that's pretty good where it's something like you have only like a passing relationship with honesty or something like that. I forget how he put it, but it was a good line. So while Kovac is kind of going, screw you, I had to do what I had to do, Ortega shows up. Now, when we last saw Ortega in end of episode 8, she had just shot a whole bunch of clones of Rey, and then we saw of her, she was hugging the little girl who's actually a clone of Rey as well, and you're like, oh boy, that's bad. Yep. But if you just took it on face value, look, she escaped.
Yeah, she was able to fight that little girl.
Yeah.
She's like, curse that little girl.
Punching a little girl in the face.
Yeah.
And so she's hurt, blah, 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 but she's like, oh, I just killed a whole bunch of versions of your sister or something like that.
Yep. Killed them. Dead.
So, she gets in the tub and she's naked and Kovac is sewing her back up.
That's what couples do.
And at some point, she starts saying, like, it's what she's saying alerts Kovac. Yeah. But she says something like, I really like games and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, she also suggested that the fact that Kovac said, oh, I don't want to see you anymore, was really setting her up to go after Rey. And that she really did want that she
being Ortega?
Ortega supposedly was suggesting to Kovac that he actually wanted her to die, that actually wanted his sister Rey to die because he wanted Ortega to take care of it. And he was like, no.
And so Kovac figures out, oh, you're my sister.
Yep.
You've put yourself into Ortega's body.
Because of how much he was flirting with him.
But
it was just clear.
It was weird. That's a weird scene there where the sister, is pretending to be the love interest of the brother. Yeah. And so anyway, Zabat figured it out.
Yes.
A little standoff moment. She's like, she drew blood is owed. Something like that. Sure. She's basically like, I demand a blood sacrifice.
Yes.
So basically, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to skip around here because there's a whole lot happens again. Very plot heavy, both these episodes. But more or less, the broad stroke is they are going to do a heist, as it turns out. And that heist is they're going to go up to Head in the Clouds. Kovacs realizes he's got to stop his sister.
Yes.
Like, his sister has just gone too far off the rails.
Initially, he was going to do it all by himself. He doesn't need anybody. Go away. Screw what Falconer says. I don't need a special little band that I can sacrifice.
But Falconer's words come back. And his local band of capable locals...
They insist
on helping out. So the team is set. The Ocean's 11.
Yes. Clearly see his plan is to... clone himself.
Now I'm totally jumping around. I mean, there's a lot that happens in the middle of there.
Yes.
But one of the things that happens is it before this heist that we figure out I think we do figure out like, what really happened with Bancroft. Well, I forgot where.
I thought she had to confess. She had to tell him because like what really happened with Bancroft.
Right, but that's up in the.
Yeah.
So that hadn't happened yet. Okay,
yeah.
That's what you're saying in the context of what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Hasn't happened yet. All right. He does do the double.
Yeah,
the double sleeve
yeah.
thing. Okay. So, Kovacs, seeing how successful that assassin Demi double-sleeved himself, decides to double-sleeve himself as well.
Yeah.
And he pretends to go off to the pleasure island with Miriam.
To meet Ray and say, hey, you know what? I don't care what you do with anybody.
And so right.
I will go to be with this rich woman to, have sex.
And since he closed the case as she wanted, I assume that offer was still good. So she's like, fine. So they actually do the little rock, paper, scissors to figure out which of the two talks should go.
Yep.
And they keep, doing the same because they both have the same brain. They can't rock, paper, scissors themselves. There are other ways of random chance.
Yeah, there is.
Things like flipping a coin, for instance. But anyway, so yes, they...
It's like, well, apparently it's genetic. It's a combination of genetic and upbringing, what you decide to do.
When you do rock, paper, scissors.
It doesn't matter if you're in somebody's head. As long as they had the same exact experiences, you will always make the same choice.
Always.
That's just science.
You sound doubtful. But
to me, it's like, what's the definition of random? It's combination of upbringing and genetics. That's what random is. It's just,
because that comes back later. We'll skip around. That comes back later when the two of them are deciding which one of them is going to basically die.
Spoilers for both episodes.
Yeah. Spoilers ahead and behind. We've already done some. We're doing more. Okay, great. So yeah, the two have to again figure, and they try to rock, paper, scissors their way into.
So yes.
And what we learn is that's actually an interesting little conundrum of one of them has to go away. It's illegal what they're doing, and they have to kill one of them. Is it better to one of them has very specific first-hand knowledge of his sister's death. The other one doesn't. The other one has very specific memories of having sex on an island instead of having this horrible tragedy with the sister. And so, in the end, it's either by random chance or whatever, it's decided that the one who had the horrible, tragic event with the sister is the one that stays around.
Yes. Makes
so
sense.
just kind of, I'm just saying, it might be like, you know what, I'm going to save myself some pain. I'll just go with you told me, I got it, she's dead. I'll just have I was having sex on an island guy, and that's my memory of the last 4 days or whatever.
That doesn't make any sense. It's like, I got to say goodbye to my sister. I mean, she died, but I got to say goodbye.
I was responsible for her death, but yeah. I had a hand in killing her.
And like he's like this other guy blowing his brains out because he doesn't want to remember. Wuss.
Well, he's just more than had a hand in killing her. He actually does he pulls the trigger, so he actually does kill his sister.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, this guy,
It's a painful
the whole
moment.
reason why we're having this show is because some guy killed somebody stupidly and couldn't bear to remember it. Skipping ahead, and and so blew his brains out, and was like, I would never blow my brains out. So I will bring up somebody who will prove that I would never do anything like that. And of course he doesn't.
That is a very cool reason for the whole plot to take place, is that Bancroft, he killed himself, which is cool that it was actually the fake version that Kovacs presents still hadn't killed himself.
Yeah, if you ever go back and rewatch the episodes, there was a point where you're like, I'm like,
so Kovacs, or excuse me, Bancroft killed himself. We'll go into reasons why in a second. But anyway, he kills himself, and then when he comes back and he hasn't been backed up, and so he doesn't remember what happened, he just can't believe that he would kill himself. So he's like, nope, couldn't have it that way. I'm going to hire someone to figure this out and start a whole chain of events just because. I'm like, no, that's completely impossible that I would do that. Oh, I did that. Okay.
He did a very good job, actually, of like having to struggle to comprehend that he would ever do anything like that.
Yeah.
He's just sort of, what?
All right, so here again, since we skipped around, the mystery at hand that was kind of the little MacGuffin of the show in some ways.
Yes.
This is how it broke down. Okay. Stop me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
We have everybody here. Miss Marple, Hercule Poirot, the janitor, the butler. Okay. So, Ray is running part of her illegal but rewarding monetarily services involve having prostitutes that she can decode and basically have a special code put on them, which is the 653. Well, actually, 653 is the name of the organization. Whatever. Anyway, she has a code that is a religious coding, which means you can't spin somebody back up, like make them come back alive after they've been murdered, to go, that person murdered me. So that's how she makes her living. She's like, oh, I got these prostitutes, they die, no one cares. Bancroft was in a position of power to be able to either sink or float this bill that was going to come through because of all the 653 movement, which was this religious movement that was like, look, we don't like this religious coding thing. Bancroft was going to allow an exception. You know what? I think people should be allowed to be spun back up to accuse their murderers. So Ray decides, I'm going to blackmail Bancroft into voting against that issue, killing it.
Yeah.
To blackmail him, she sets him up to murder a prostitute. Gets him this stallion drug that makes him hyper masculine guy.
Lose control.
And he kills a prostitute.
And you think, so you killed somebody, but you were on this drug that made you lose your senses. No! Bam!
Now, did he know he was on? I don't think he knew that he was on the drug.
Maybe he didn't know.
I don't think he knew, because remember, that's the other part of it, is the woman who gave it to him was his wife with her lips.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot.
So
he
that's
didn't know
a surprise at the end. He's like, what?
Yeah.
You?
Yeah.
You were the one?
Yeah.
So
you're right. Very good.
So he couldn't bring himself, but the thing is, before he kills himself, he thought there was a line he couldn't cross.
Right.
And the line he couldn't cross was killing someone for real. Like, he could kill plenty of sleeves, stab, stab, stab. Yeah, but as long as their little neck piece is fine, they're fine. But in this case, he kills somebody real dead. But so he doesn't just commit suicide at that moment.
No.
Like, he goes ahead and
does what she wants.
Right, does what she wants first, then feels even more guilty, I guess.
Well, yeah, I guess person that knows is going to be like, oh, you've forgotten something. Let me remind you. Like,
So she gets what she wants. He and his horrible, guilt, commit suicide. Then, on top of that, you've got the fact that Lizzie was pregnant from Bancroft.
yes.
She shows up at Cloud Mansion to say, hey, maybe Daddy wants to contribute to this kid's well-being. I don't know what she's asking for, but she's basically
it's discovered.
It's his kid.
Yes.
She says it to the wrong person.
Yes.
Miriam, who proceeds to kick her, horribly wounding. Basically kills the sleeve.
Yep. Kills
her sleeve and also kills the infant embryo inside her. And then Lizzie's stack, Lizzie's consciousness is sent to that Way clinic, the thing that Ray runs. That's a torture lab, and she is tortured into insanity. And I think those are the events. That sounded long just in saying it, but those are the various criminal acts that occurred.
Started this whole thing.
Yes. So they're taking Miriam away at the end, like that sleeve murder and killing an unborn.
Yes.
Thing. And it occurred to me, like, what is the penalty for murdering a sleeve and not the actual real death? I guess real death is still a big deal.
Yes.
Biggest deal.
Real deal.
But killing a sleeve, we saw it happen. Every episode has a whole bunch of sleeves dying.
Yeah, apparently
a few at least.
It seems sometimes that it's as long as the conditions are right, like having an audience or having it in a special steel ball. It's okay if sleeves die. It seems.
But it would be interesting to know what the penalty is. Is it? Do you pay a fine? You're like, all right. $25, and don't you do that again, or that fine's going to go up to $50, miss. Or, I don't know. Maybe it's like, instead of 30 years in jail, you get 5. Or I don't know. But I assume the penalty is much less.
I don't know. Yeah, I feel like the only real punishment we've seen is that they take your stack and put it on ice.
Doop, beep.
So for a number of years, so you come out and if you probably don't have too many resources, it could mean that your family doesn't have enough resources to go on, I guess. But if you're rich, it's like we missed all these financial deals. I guess I don't know what It's still probably they don't seem to like the idea anyway. So
right, it was a bad thing. It wasn't like I'll just pay this and move on.
Yeah.
Back to our heist. All right, so the idea is they're going to go up to this head in the clouds place where basically rich people pay to do whatever the hell they want.
Yeah, whatever disgusting, sick things that they can't do.
And Ray gets a whole lot of money for it.
Yep.
So they're going to go to her business.
Yep.
And they're going to remove her backups. She's she's rich enough to back herself up all the time. So they're going to try to eradicate all her backups, so she's just got the one person left, and then get her to confess to her crimes, and then either have her taken away, I guess.
Yeah.
Or kill her off.
Yes.
Just what happens. All right. So, of course, the mission has to go awry some way, and it goes awry. But you've got Elliot. Vernon goes up. He's pretending to be a rich general.
Yes.
And his wife, Ava, is kind of doing the hacking.
Yes.
From below.
Yes.
Yes. But the only two people at the moment that are up in the head in the clouds are Elliot and Kovach.
Yes. But don't forget Poe, too, there with the wife who's hacking.
Yes. Poe.
Because once they get discovered, Poe dies.
Yes. Poe dies. So, we get to see this really disturbing thing that the general Elliot has been bought as cover to get into the place. And so basically he's put into this room with this prostitute who's like, yep, you can kill me in any way you want. Here's some knives. Just do what you need to.
Yep.
And I'm like, what?
It's like, well, you're not killing me.
Right. They'll get mad.
They'll get mad if you don't kill me.
Like, well, okay, let's have a drink. So he knocks her out, basically, and goes about his subterfuge. Meanwhile, then the hosts show up.
Sorry to really, but she's probably dead.
Because the place crashed.
Yes.
Now they did recover Kovach's stack.
Oh yeah, I guess
maybe
they
other
could've-
people's
yeah,
stacks.
they could have gotten a stack. And then if she got a good body, she all right. It all worked out.
Although, that's another. There was actually another point to the entire plot that sets all this up that we forgot to mention, which is the prostitute who fell from the sky.
Yes.
Mary Lou, I think.
Yes.
So that whole mystery was she's a prostitute. She was up at head in the clouds. She sees someone getting murdered in front of her.
Yep.
And she's like, nope, I'm out of here.
Yep.
She tries to run away. She goes out onto the antenna of the head in the clouds, hanging on. And Ray comes out and is like, oh, you scared of your client? Well, you should be scared of me. And so Mary Lou jumps to her death.
Thinking, okay, well, at least they'll pull my stack and, see who killed me.
Right.
I'm okay now.
Well, not just that, but I can get spun back up, perhaps. Like,
Pull my stack.
yeah, but I mean, not just say who killed me, but maybe come back to life
Oh, yes.
as well.
Yeah, true.
Yeah. But little
Well,
does she know.
Well, I would hope they do more than just spin people up to say, okay, well, you killed.
I kinda got the idea maybe they
let's
don't,
just shut
but-
you off.
That's kind of what I thought. Was like,
That's all we
got it.
care.
All right. Do you have some more money? No? Okay, you're done. But little does she know about the coding thing, and
Yes.
so she's coded religiously, so she's not supposed to get spun
Yeah,
back
she
up.
pre-coded her.
But Kovac eventually, hook or crook, figures out a way to get the thing, and he and Ortega, and so they got to anyway.
Yes.
See what happened at the end there. So that was That's the way Mary Lou died. She also committed suicide, thinking she would be able to come back, and she was not. Anyway, so the heist continues on. In order to hide from the guards, Kovac cuts himself or gives himself the Reaper poison that lowers his body temperature, so that the heat sensors can't pick him up. But it also makes him
Groggy and
and he's kind of stumbling around. Elliot comes to help him out. They can't get to Ortega in time. They basically have a confrontation with the sister, with Ray, and they can see Ortega in the background. Like, oh, there she is, getting tortured. Yay! And Ray's like, I'm going to make her eat her own eyeballs. Because she's nice. And so there's kind of this big, moment where the plan comes to fruition. Ray can't back herself up. She realizes, like, oh, what? Oh, crap. You, grr.
Yes, and Kovac is recording her with his eye.
Right? So she confesses.
And
She's gone to the whole plan.
prosecuted.
So he's like, ta-ta, I got you now. It's all done. But she's like, well, hold on a sec. Bloop, 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 bloop. And everybody runs in. They also did mention early on in the thing with the micro camera, oh, yeah, that's the one thing that's not hooked up to a Wi-Fi unit, so you can get it up there. Like, conveniently, that means you can't broadcast the other direction either. So a dead Kovac means no micro camera. Big confrontation. Ghost Walker shows up with a bunch of guards, and it looks like the tables have turned.
Yes.
And that's the end of episode 9.
Yes.
Then we begin episode 10, and superficially again, it's another Ortega dupe. Where in the last one, it was not Ortega, it was Ray. In this case, it's Ortega, but it's in her mind. And she's back at her family's house, and she discovers everyone dead. And she's obviously incredibly distraught about that. But then Ghostwalker shows up, starts torturing her. Is like, oh, you've done this many times, but you'll do it many times more.
Yes.
And it's like a loop where she's just constantly seeing her family die dead, and her mom dying in her arms. And then suddenly Ghostwalker gets called away, even in the virtual world. Like, oh, I'm alone, and she's still not happy, but
No.
at least she's not being tortured in that way. She's like,
Yeah, sure.
let me out.
Well, I'm not tortured by him anyway.
Right. So, people. There's a scene where, so she's woken up from VR, and so it's Ortega and Elliot. And I think they've gone to the hotel at that point. When did they go get Ava, capture her, and kill Poe? I kind of forget where that happened in the scheme
Right,
of
so
this.
yeah, once they got cut off, and they're like, aha, and the Shadow Walker or whatever jumps in, then they realize the jig is
Ghostwalker,
up.
yeah.
So Ghostwalker, yeah. So So and once they kill Poe, then they leave and they're all together.
So we see how Ghostwalker kind of went around unseen. He's got this electron manipulator device.
Yes.
And so he's also using it to kill Poe. Yes. And as Poe is dying, like his AI form is disintegrating, he goes to talk to Lizzie's consciousness, which is still housed in she's like, we gotta get you out of here. She's like, send me up.
Yep.
Send me to the head in the clouds.
Yep,
He's like, that sounds a bad idea. It's like, they're gonna find me and crush me otherwise. So he's like, all right, fine. So he sends her to head in the clouds before he dissipates.
Yeah, it says, look, no one's in this stack. No one's here. Haha.
It sounded like he was quoting Annabelle Lee as he was dying. I believe. I think he was doing a Edgar Allan Poe poem.
Ooh.
As he died off.
Ooh.
There. Anyway. So now you've got everybody up on head in the clouds, including Lizzie.
Yes.
But Ray is going to make Kovac choose one of the people to kill.
Yes.
Kill one of your friends.
Yes.
And he's like, I can't do this. This is stupid. Don't make me do this. She's like, well, take them away. Eventually, you'll kill them all. And
right.
The point is, you won't even care.
He was going to kill himself, actually. He put a
Yeah,
gun
he's like,
in his own
you
stack
get one
and did
bullet.
that, like, what makes you think I would give you a loaded gun? Well, you thought I was going to kill somebody.
I had the feeling it was not a loaded gun, because, yes, he would have just gone, boop, or whatever. He could have done a lot of things. Right. So, yeah, that was... I think I might have...
So, yeah,
I might have taken the chance. If I was Kovac, I'd be like, I'll bet this gun's empty. If it's not, so be it. I'll be killing myself, and that's probably better than killing my friends. But I have a feeling this is not the end of this. I was right. I was right, everybody. I mean, you got me.
I guess for her perspective, it's like if he'd walked up to one of his friends and blam, oh, what? No, nothing happened. Oh, don't worry, we'll kill him. That was a good choice.
Good choice. Yes. Good choice.
Very good.
Good vintage. So she takes him away. Like, eventually you'll kill him, and the good part is you won't even care.
I think she's like, you'll want to kill him or something.
Yeah,
she's like, you'll beg me to kill him.
So, obviously, big fight ensue. There's the big. I mean, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but there's basically what amounts to eventually. Kovac fights his sister. Meanwhile, behind the big blast doors, Ortega is fighting Ghostwalker. Yes. And that's kind of the huge double fight that's happening.
And the Izzy family, or whatever. Not Izzy. Elliot family. The Elliot family fights people too.
Yes, and Lizzie has been trained very well in combat.
Yes.
Maybe too well, in fact, but whatever. For this point, not too well.
But
she's like, kind of...
She should have lost a little bit.
She seems a little unbalanced. I don't know.
Unbalanced?
She doesn't...
She doesn't seem that sane, is
yeah, maybe. But
why? What
I don't know. She was not Killer Robot before. Now she's practically Killer Robot Woman. And I don't know, like, it just seems like she's like psychotic practically. No.
She's killing the people that, hurt her.
Yeah.
And she's having a good time.
She's very violent.
Yes.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Having a good time. That's the part of it.
Yes.
Should you be having a good time?
Yes.
Okay.
You should be.
All right. So she's good at it, and she kills off a whole bunch of people.
I was getting in the sleeve.
Yeah.
Don't get caught in your matrix thinking.
I'm gonna pay the $20. I'm gonna pay the $20 to get my sleeve death fine. Okay. So she's killing bad guys. Ortega. That's the interesting thing. So Ortega subdues Ghostwalker. And he's pretty much out. And then the cops show up with Tanaka. And she's like, while the cops watch, she gives this line back to him like, do you believe, MFer? Ka-cha. Yeah. Which I assume the cops are like, well, he killed her family, go ahead. But there's a little bit of like, we're all just going to, what? All right, now we move in. So they let her kill off Ghostwalker. And Ray and Tak stab each other.
Yes.
And they're both like, ugh. There's somewhere in there is the moment she's trying to convince Tak to join. She keeps having, her whole her motivation is to bring him back to the, like, I lost you once. I'm a horrible person and I do horrible things, but basically the entire point of it is that you and I can be together.
Yes.
So don't leave me. And so as part of her don't leave me construct, she's like, well, here's my last bargaining chip. Before I killed off your love interest way back 250 years ago, I backed her up as well as me. So, do you want Falconer's chip? It's hidden, but I know where it is.
Without me, you never will.
And so if you don't kill me in this moment, I'll show you where this thing is.
Yes.
So he's like, yeah, no. Basically, he listens to the voice of Falconer in his head and decides that she would want it, that he kill his sister. And so he does.
That's funny. Yeah, there's something in there that I can't remember. That doesn't seem quite right.
Yeah.
I feel like he's not going to go along with what she says, so he's not going to save her. I think
Right.
is really what.
Well, he ends up putting
enough.
the gun to her neck, and she's like, I think her last words are like, "I'll never stop," or something like that. He's like, "All right," and then he says goodbye to Ortega through the door. He's like, "Goodbye." She's like, "No, you can get through." He's like, "Goodbye."
Right.
He's gonna basically die in the crash, holding his sister, like with his sister's corpse. Although he does not die. His sleeve probably does, but they Richie was stacked. We talked about that.
No, he's double stack.
Double stack pancakes. The Falconer thing. As he's crashing, he's talking to the voice in his head, which is Falconer, to say like, "Tell me a story," but not a one that ends with death and tragedy, as he thinks he's about to die. Ortega's fled the ship. She's been,
They're dragged off.
Yeah,
It's
like,
like,
no! And like,
hey, you don't have to be spun up. We'll take you away.
So he is told a story in his head. Right, it's like, evidently a story he knew.
Presumably.
That does end in tragedy, and it's like, just don't make it too gloomy. All right, so a princess meets a peasant, and then she dies. Like, oh, great. And then he goes looking for her soul. Question mark? So it wasn't necessarily the most uplifting story to hear as you're about to die, but he told it to himself anyway.
Yep.
And that's one of the points that we talked about this, but I wasn't convinced that this season, like, if I were to pick a relationship that seemed to be built over the season, like a love relationship, I would think it was Tak and Ortega. Like, they built their relationship. They suffered all these crises together, blah, 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 blah. Meanwhile, the voice in his head, Falconer, I felt was more like a mentor, Obi-Wan Kenobi type character, which is just telling him things like, look, you are the weapon, not your guns, and you should get locals and make sure and always be present and whatever. It was more like life lessons as opposed to, I love that you like pizza. I don't know, whatever. It didn't feel like two lovers.
She wasn't actually saying, hey, use Poe and use Elliot. She wasn't saying that. It's like the advice she'd given that he could apply to, and even when she...
Well, it's good. I'm not going to say it's bad advice or surviving.
Right, no, but even when he imagines seeing her, it's not like she refers to people that are alive. Well, maybe she does, actually. I don't know. I feel like she... it's questionable. Obviously, it's supposed to be delusions anyway, so... But
my point was that I felt like... And yes, they had the episode where we got the flashback to when they were first had the montage where she's training him, and then they fall in love, and they have sex, and then she dies. So, it just... If I were to pick like an emotionally resonant relationship, it was Kovac and Ortega. I really didn't get from what we saw in the season this extent of the love that he supposedly has for her that makes, he obviously has these huge regrets and stuff at the end. It's a big choice to make. We guess that when he leaves at the end of this season, he's going to try to find her stack wherever it might be,
right? Whoever,
if it exists. I mean, Ray
whoever
could have lied
when he goes after it. I mean, presumably, if they wanted to establish more from that time period, they could bring back the actor that does that.
Right. Just you're a Talk clone from the fight drome, and you got another one. I don't know.
No, I mean, if they wanted to establish more of that relationship when it had occurred.
Right.
You know, they can just go back and shoot more scenes with those original actors, is all I'm saying.
But they were trying to push this narrative that was the true love of his life, and I guess I just didn't necessarily see enough of that. I saw her more as the mentor and less as the love of my life.
But what's occurring to me now is that it fits firmly, I think, into the whole noir thing where it's like the romance that you thought was the center of it actually wasn't.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, one thing that, you know, like in what you often see is, it seemed like we were in a romance, but it turns out you were a killer and I had to send you away. That's a classic noir thing. Here, it's like, you know, we were together and, you know, you were really involved with it because you wanted to get your lover back who was falsely, who was framed. So now you are going to get him back, but the irony is that, you know, we became really close during that time. So, you know, it's classic.
Right, it does have a noir a bittersweet
form to it,
maybe more bitter than sweet ending. Right, so the way it works is Ortega Riker is going to get freed. He's framed. Hey, and so Talk is like, yeah, he should have his body back. So Talk is going to take his chip out of the Riker body, give Riker back his body, and he can be with Ortega. Right. And Kovac is going to go off and look for the Falconer. We don't know what body he's going to be in, but
right. And you can look at it as ways like she was. I mean, they made a big deal of it, and I think they should have. She didn't have any faith. He was right, and she didn't have any faith in him at all. And so it took for someone else to be in this guy's body and solve the crime, so she could. Oh well, you were right. This big
right.
crime.
That's true. I didn't believe you.
Yeah. It took someone else to be in your body and tell me that you were, for me to believe it.
So, talk real quick about the central, one of the central assumptions that seems to be, I think, is maybe a little flawed, which is this thing of like this Proposition 653, the idea that, if people can't be spun up to say who killed them, then you never find out who killed them. I'm like, okay, well, we don't have that technology now.
No, we don't.
But we do have police.
Yes.
Much like they have a whole police department that Ortega's a part of and this other thing with technology.
They're corrupt, though.
They're corrupt, but they're still police.
Yes.
And they try to solve crimes without the body talking to them.
Yes, that's right.
And
How
in fact,
quaint.
and in fact, I could imagine, let's say you live in a world where the bodies may indeed talk.
Yes.
And you wanted to murder someone.
Yes.
You might murder them not in full sight of them so that they can't tell who did it.
Right.
So I feel like there's a whole...
it's like, there's like the classic TV show trope or movie trope where it's like, I must tell you my plan before I kill you. You must know, I must gloat. You must know that I killed you. It's not enough for me to kill you. You have to know that I'm killing you. And it's like, the smart criminal wouldn't do that.
Right. Sniper rifle from 400 yards away or something.
Like the other trope, or not trope, but something that they said a few times, like in Goodfellas, like, Ray Liotta in Goodfellas knows that the cops have come up because they're saying, we're going to kill you, we're going to kill you. It's like, no. And if it were real, I would have been dead. They just would have come up with me and killed me, and they wouldn't need to be like, oh, we're going to kill you. They wouldn't need to say any of that. That's how Goodfellas do it.
So
real criminals wouldn't go around announcing who they are. They'd want to get away with it. So they'd put masks on or make sure you're looking the other way so you wouldn't actually know that they killed you.
So, yeah, so first of all, it's not just a catch-all that solves all crimes. Certainly not.
No.
And second of all, it seems like you could actually determine, maybe it's a little harder, but you can determine who the killer was through detective work without having the person's body speak and tell you what happened to them. So it doesn't seem like it's as night and day a benefit to Ray as it's made out. Like, oh my God, if I don't have this situation where my prostitutes can't come back to life and tell
but
me.
for her though, it's like, oh, who was your employer?
Who's your employer is different from who killed you.
So what?
Okay. You think?
Yeah. It's like, okay, here I am. I'm Ray. I've hired this person, and someone's gonna kill you, and you're gonna get brought back to life. But you're not though.
But you're not though.
Right. So because so you're not gonna get spun up. But now people get spun up to see how they get killed. You have to kill their stacks too, which you know what probably wouldn't be that difficult. There you go. So there you go. Yeah, see, there you go. As long as you destroy their stack too. Kill them and destroy their stack, so then they can't testify. There you go. You can't split up a dead stack.
You can't do it. You can't do it. Dead stacks.
I guess what you'd have to do is back your stack up beforehand and not tell them where it is.
I'm just saying, let's say you do a real death. You kill the stack. You still, there's bloody fingerprints on the body. Oh, the murder weapon. Blah, 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 blah. Do some basic detective work. You put the little powder down. You find the fingerprints. You go, I'll put it in a database. Oh, look, it was that guy. I don't know. Maybe? No? All right.
Yeah, I don't know.
She's paid off the cops. In her world,
yeah,
it's
paid them
helpful,
off.
but,
Yeah, there you go.
But anyway, it was just like I don't know that it's such an either or thing. Well, without that, there's no way you can ever find out who killed someone. There's zero chance.
No, we're in the future. We have no 24-hour surveillance of every scope of the planet. We don't have that. We people don't have any eyewitnesses. People just don't have any means of communicating anyway. No video diaries, nothing.
So yes, exactly. So what do we see for season 2 then? We see obviously Kovac is going to be looking for his true love.
Yep.
The stack.
Yep.
Does that mean he goes off world? Probably, right?
Possibly, yeah.
She was killed off world,
yeah.
and Ray was traveling around a lot.
Possibly.
So it could be a very different series. Who knows? I mean, maybe they come back to this area, but they establish these characters. You don't want to necessarily leave them, but
do they try to resurrect Falconer's goal as well?
Right.
Of limiting the life of everyone.
That's true. As far as she knows, when her last intention was, I'm gonna make everybody 100 years old.
Right. So yeah, she'd be like, well, I didn't know what I was young then. That's back when I was only 300 years old.
That's right. I've had 250 years to think about it.
Yeah.
in a box on a cabinet.
That changes a chip.
That does. So, but yeah, I guess they have established this world. I don't think they're gonna just throw away Ortega and Elliot and Lizzie.
I wouldn't think so.
You wouldn't think they would do that. So
I mean,
maybe they keep
certainly
it in that
them.
world.
Certainly them go around, right? Because they established that Lizzie's like, I'm fine having this body.
Yeah.
And if they decide to explore it the way that you're thinking, like maybe she's
she
not really
starts
so
going dark. So yeah, so they in some ways he'll have contact with that world, with that city.
Perhaps.
World,
I mean, it might be a situation where it's like, they make deals or they get, they might decide, we want to pursue this.
Did we think the class
With the
system
actors,
the class system is still there though, right? It just didn't take the class system down. It just took
No.
down Bancroft in particular.
Yeah, I mean, it put a limit on the rich people. That's all.
Yeah.
But
So there we go. Any final thoughts on Altered Carbon, sir?
No, like the series, and think there's a lot of potential. I think they did a good job of establishing the world with a lot of interesting rules in it.
Very good world building, polished. It took a lot of time. The craftsmanship is there on this show, for sure. We talked about the fight scenes; they're well choreographed. The visuals look great. Yeah. Just the settings themselves look really interesting. Yeah. The sets look great. It's a world that's it's fun to follow. So congrats to Altered Carbon and Netflix. We look forward to season 2.
Yes.
But coming up in the immediate future is the end of another series we've been watching, end of another season.
Yes.
Counterpart.
Yes.
Coming up.
For real this time.
For real this time.
Because they wouldn't fool us on the 1st of April.
That's right. Who could possibly do that?
No. That would be cruel and heartless.
So it'll be that, and then Legion Season 2, Episode 1 comes next week as well. So we'll talk about that. And all good things. So thank you so much for staying with us. I know we just jumped around here a little bit, but it was an awesome experience.
Yes.
Really cool finale and a fitting ending to basically a noir-style sci-fi film.
Yes.
Or series. Yeah.
Yes.
So cool. Thanks, everybody. Subscribe if you want to get updates.
Yep.
Make comments. We will reply in kind. And for everything sci-fi, bye, everybody.
Bye.